This week on HomeKit News, the ZemiSmart curtain system with matter and thread. Welcome back everybody. Today we're looking at the ZemiSmart Smart Curtain Kit, which includes both the motor and curtain tracks for your curtains. Having set this up a few times myself, I can say it's actually easy to install and set up. You get smart control on almost all platforms thanks to matter over thread, and the track length is also easy to customize, as you'll see in a bit. So let's now see what's in the box. First off, there is a 1 meter long master track that you can extend from if necessary. In the pack I received, there are extension tracks at 50 centimeters, 20 centimeters, and even 10 centimeters. So with a combination of these, you can get the custom length you require. You also get a set of curtain runners, so this isn't designed for curtains that fit on a rod. You get some ceiling brackets which make the installation process a bit easier, a corresponding set of screws and roll plugs for use with the ceiling brackets, some curtain extension hooks which I'll demonstrate later, and a small remote control that uses a standard CR2032 coin battery. Let's have a closer look at the curtain motor itself now, and as you can see it's fairly large, but it is powerful too. It comes with a matter code, so it'll work with HomeKit, SmartThings and Google, although Amazon doesn't work with window coverings via matter at the moment. The motor comes with a C8 type power socket, as this requires mains power to work, although it does actually contain a battery for emergency use only, however. Additionally, there's a multifunction button along with an Ethernet socket and a USB-C port, although as I understand it, these aren't in use at present. The included power cable is very short but standard, so it can be replaced with a longer one if required. For the setup, I'll skim through the procedure, although you can see the full installation video via a link in the description. So if you're going to extend the track, remove the sub-gear buckle along with the sub-gear box. You then line up an extension and lock it into place using the track buckles that come with each track extension. Just make sure they lock directly over the joint. Refit the sub-gear box and pull the positioner to the end where it will click into place. Then unlock the master carrier buckle and the gearbox buckle at the motor end. You now need to start feeding the curtain runners along the track, remembering to ensure equal amounts of runners at each end. Next, you need to refit and lock into place the sub-gear buckle and the master gear buckle, which is at the motor end. And finally, you just need to move both of the carrier arms to their respective ends of the curtain track, locking the master carrier buckle. With that done, just move the carrier arms to ensure they move equally. With the track all set up, you need to just add the motor, which clicks into place with a 90-degree turn. Make sure the power cable is connected to power and plugged into the motor. The next step is to pair the remote, which just needs you to press the set button once, followed by a single press on the middle button on the remote. Next, you can just quickly test the remote to make sure it works. If for any reason the remote works the opposite to expected, press the set button 5 times to reverse the direction. One useful feature is that the open and close limits are set up by the motor once the battery is plugged in. The remote allows the curtain motor to open or close at 3 different speeds simply by pressing the open or close buttons repeatedly, although the motor will not revert to the slowest speed again on the 4th press. As this is a thread device, setting it up does require a thread border router, but adding it to Apple Home is as easy as you might expect. Press the set button 3 times for pairing mode, then scan the matter code and go through all the usual setup procedures you find with any HomeKit device. So let's now have a look at the curtain motor in action in the Home app. As you can imagine, in Apple Home it's all straightforward stuff, so a single tile to open and close it from the home screen, and as you can see here it's quite responsive. Now I've been testing this device on and off since January, would you believe, and in all that time I've had it, I've not had any issues with disconnection or slow performance, although there is a slight catch in that if you disconnect the motor from the power supply, it does lose its connection to your smart home. It'll eventually come back once you reconnect power, however. If you happen to see our video on the SmartThings roller shade driver, also with matter over thread, link in the corner, you'll notice these tracks look pretty similar. As the track is essentially the same design, these also use the same mounting bracket shown here. This means the installation was very easy. With the brackets fixed to the ceiling, the tracks just click into place. If you need to fix these to a wall instead of a ceiling, you can purchase these S-shaped brackets, which connect to standard brackets but allow you to then connect to a vertical surface. In addition, you also have to purchase your own curtain hooks like these from IKEA. These fit to your curtains and then hook onto the runners as well as the carrier arms. You can also connect them to the curtain extension hooks if you want to extend your curtains beyond the motor or track. Currently all my windows use roller blinds, so I've temporarily had to set the motor up here for this demo. Using the remote you can see the motor works fine, and at the highest speed it performs well. One thing I haven't mentioned is that the curtains can also be opened and closed simply by tugging on the curtains as shown here, which is useful for anyone who simply doesn't fancy relying on either their phone, buttons or automations to open or close their curtains. In order to not put too much strain on the track, the carrier arms bend when pulled. So finally to the pros and cons, starting with what I think is almost the perfect combo for smart homes, namely Matter over Thread. So you can add it to any platform along with local control, although Amazon doesn't support window coverings in Matter yet for some reasons, and of course Wi-Fi is not required due to Thread. The setup may seem laborious, but it's actually easier than the old method that required you to cut a rubber belt to size, which could easily go wrong and usually does. The metal belt used here ensures it adjusts to the required length without you having to worry about it. I don't know how it does it, but it does it great. It's nice to have 3 speeds, although it seems they are only available via the remote at present. Manual control for when you're in a hurry is also a convenient option, and it seems to work well and doesn't seem to impact the positioning, which does affect some retrofit curtain motor options. The motor is extremely quiet and is far quieter than my roller shade motors, which I already consider quiet enough anyway. There's only one con, and that is if for whatever reason you disconnect the motor from mains electricity, it results in no response in all platforms until the power is reconnected, and in some cases can take some time to reconnect. It still works via the remote or manually however, so it's not the end of the world. So that's our look at ZemiSmart's very first Matter over Thread product, and if you don't mind installing a whole new tracking system, the price is actually very reasonable. I've tried to cover the basics for this device, but if there's anything I missed or you have any questions, feel free to drop a comment below and I'll always reply to questions. Assuming you're still here, you probably enjoyed this video, so please like, share and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And until the next time, stay safe. And remember, whilst money can't buy happiness, it certainly lets you choose your own form of misery.